Oh boy. So, let me see. I don't know. Maybe I won't do it. But, yeah. Okay. I walked around a little while ago outside. We'll say like an hour ago. All right? And it was a pleasant walk. Most of the time, well, for the first almost half, I was like looking up, a little worried. Is it gonna rain? Is it not gonna rain? Then I just kind of was like, all right, well, I guess it's not gonna rain. Um, and it didn't rain. But eventually, freaking crap under the nail. Eventually, somehow, I don't know how I got there. I just do this. All right. I just start talking to myself, and a lot of times I just make up stories. I don't know how it gets to that. Sometimes the stories are like 3 minutes long. Sometimes they end up winding around and getting depending on what I'm doing, like if I'm doing a chore, if I do the dishes and then go right to cooking, it can end up being 20 minutes long. I don't write things down because writing is, I don't know, boring or something. I don't know. Yes, I picked it. But for some reason this time, I talked out loud and it was like I just pretended I was like speaking to, I was a preacher, and so I was telling a, I guess I was telling the, the generalized, not the entire story of Jesus, but like a sort of a sort of a story of Jesus. Like his, I don't know, story of his life from like maybe I guess it would be like 20, mid 20s all the way to his death, I guess, with not a whole lot of detail, but just generalizing a whole lot, that sort of thing. From my perspective, with things that I've come to think about through a lot, because, I like thinking about it, especially, I don't know, throughout my life, I thought about those things because, I'm in America and it comes up. Why wouldn't it come up? I'm in America. Not a believer, but I mean, how are you ever going to get away from religion? It doesn't matter whether you're a believer or not. You're not going to get away from religion and the concept of God and gods. So, yeah. Christianity and Islam and Judaism, and as you move further east, Hinduism, I guess Buddhism too. Those sorts of religions are going to be on your radar. So you're just going to end up dealing with them in your head and in your life. So, anyways, that was what I was thinking about. And I was just making it up and kind of talking it out and talking to the, what is it? Why can't I think of the word? Talking to the, you know what I'm saying? The believers in the crowd. There's a word for the crowd. But flock. There you go. And I thought it was pretty good. It was not recorded. I do my best work when nothing is being recorded. I said this before. I'm thinking about trying to record it, but like I'm always like, when I try to re-record something that I do, it's always, I mean, at best, the quality is like 80%. That's like the best. And it's usually like 50 to 60. And I just am like, yeah, since it's on religion, getting between 50 to 80% is something religious about Jesus. That's walking a dangerous path. I'm just like, should I do it? Should I not do it? I don't know. I kind of want to. I want to give it a shot. I don't know. But anyways. Because I think it's an interesting retelling. It doesn't have all the bullcrap of biblical text getting in the way. Well, there probably is. There definitely is some in there. But it doesn't have the heavy cream in there that a normal pastor or priest would throw in there. What do we got? 8 minutes. It's gonna be a long one. I think I was talking for a good 30 minutes. I'm gonna try it now. If you're looking at my face, if anyone's watching this, well, if I post this, if you're watching this, I posted this. Oof. Just you're watching my face and I posted this. I thought it was worth it. So it's anywhere between, let's say 65% is good and 100 or 100 plus %. Maybe I improved on it. I don't know. But please, if you want to post a comment, just, understand that I really ain't trying to offend you and be like blasphemous, okay? Because I'm not a believer and I'm also not trying to dump on your faith, even though but I don't mind faith as long as you don't take it and, you know, use it to beat someone over the head with it. If you just kind of take it to your church, go in there, do what you want with it, and then kind of just leave it in the church. I really don't care, you know. If you come out in the church with it and, you know, use it to start doing some weird crap, you know, other than, you know, like I'm really loving and stuff, and then you do stuff that is totally contrary to being loving, and whatever. On the other hand, if your faith, you say, yeah, my faith is, you know, I'm a hateful bastard, and then you bring out, I'm a hateful bastard, well, at least you're being honest. I mean, I can respect you then. Okay. I can respect your faith because you're being honest that your faith is, we preach that we're right and everybody else is dick and wrong, and we bring that into the world. All right. You're telling everybody they're wrong and they deserve to die, and everybody knows where you stand. We know where you stand. You know where we. I mean, like, just be completely honest. Act as you understand what I'm saying, right? The whole saying, "Don't move the goalpost." Yeah, there we go. That was a weird feeling right there. Kind of like cold, hot, pokey, but not pokey. I don't know. That was weird. Anyways, yeah, I don't know. It's also going to be long. I don't know if I said that or not. Oh, boy. I don't know how good the audio pickup on this thing is either. I meant to test that. So you may have to turn up the audio on whatever you're listening to. With whatever you're listening this. Whatever you are listening to this geez, words, people. They you communicate to people with words. Just, you know, sometimes. Okay, so I start out by saying, how did I start out by, oh yeah. Before I started out by being like, yes, I'm not a believer. Um, I was like, that obviously means I don't believe in the divinity of Jesus, but also on top of that, and this is one thing that historians generally don't go as far to, is I kind of question the existence of the man himself entirely, but a lot of historians have kind of gotten onto the boat of, yeah, he actually did exist. I'm just like, I don't even think the guy existed, so whatever. But for the purposes of what I'm going to tell, the story that I'm going to say, I will accept that the man himself existed. All right? I'm not going to get on the divinity thing, but whatever. Um, so, I'm already forgetting what I said. There wasn't a train before, which was good because I was walking. I was walking right by the train tracks. It was a frontage road that I was walking down. But the trains usually come at night anyways. So this is not an omen, but just typical. All right, so don't try to read anything into it. I was trying to like do the placement of the apartment and be like, which way is this one going? Because there's two tracks. So, because the train, it goes from like Houston all the way to like, what would that be? Dallas or something? And it is long. They're like, they are trains that can go like the south to all the way across Texas. So they had to make like two tracks side by side. Um, so yeah, anyways, sorry for that tangent, that interruption, whatever. Okay, let's begin. So yeah, with that whole caveat of the whole me saying I don't believe in divinity or him existing, I will say, let's me say, yeah, okay, I'm accepting that he existed for this story. So we'll start with he existed and his group, all of you know who he and his like inner circle of friends and relatives are. I don't know, but you know who they are. I think it's him and like Paul and John and Mary and whatever. There's, including Jesus, there would be like 8, I think, or something like that. I don't know. I don't know if at that time Judas was with him, but whatever. They're all there and they're doing their thing, and they're, they're always moving from place to place, and they have their talks throughout the, I don't know, Middle East. Well, it would be it would be where it is. Let's just say, I'm just going to say the Middle East, but I think it's the whole territory of Rome, of the Roman Empire. So it's big. So they move from, encampment to encampment that goes from town to town, village to village, all that good stuff. And, they always got mules and maybe horses, but it's probably mules and donkeys. And they talk probably mostly at night when they're breaking bread and stuff. And so they have conversations, and, if my understanding is right, they all, by the time Jesus is, an adult, they're all convinced that he's the Son of God. It's my personal opinion that Jesus himself is maybe, he would probably be a humble man. So he would be like, yeah, okay, whatever, in his head. In his head, he'd be like, whatever, okay. But outwardly, he would just kind of humor their opinions, and I'd be like, sure, okay. And they'd have discussions about stuff. And it's kind of their round tables, if you will, are always treated as true, open discussions and talks about whatever. Sometimes they're serious, sometimes they're truly just, man, that guy we met, remember him? He was crazy. Or maybe even if he's just with the guys, they could even be like, man, that girl we saw. Did you check out dead ass? That was something. And Jesus might even be like, yeah. And the guys would be like, you're supposed to be the son of God. You can't say that. And you'd be like, well, I'm still human. I um, while I'm here, you know, you know, you know. Um, so yeah, they do that. They do all sorts of things, have all sorts of talks, and everybody would be, whenever Jesus spoke, everybody would be like on his every word, and he'd always try to make everybody. He'd always say this all the time. He'd be like, my word is not final. Never try to quote me too hard as like the final authority on everything. I want everybody to understand that me speaking, if I say something, it's never, don't take it too seriously. Everybody here has an equal say in where we go or how we should approach something. We're all equals here. All right. Don't just be like, oh, Jesus said this, so let's do that. Like, no, everyone feel free to make your suggestions without any kind of fear of me saying, that's a crappy idea, we should not do that. Even though sometimes I might say, dude, that is a dumb thing. Whenever I say something like that, it's just me saying, I think that's a dumb idea. And you can say the same thing. If you say that's stupid, maybe I will agree with it. So just, be aware. Everybody can disagree, and disagreeing doesn't mean that I think of any of less of you, or even God thinks any less of you. Okay? And that's the overall tone of how the social situation was carried out in their group. He wanted everyone to feel as if no one was above anyone else there. All right. And even though at the time, women, slaves, maybe, I don't know exactly if people from different areas had different statuses. I think there were a lot of castes too in a lot of regions, but none of that, none of anything would be used against another person to denigrate some opinion other than the validity of an argument on its own, that sort of thing. And so that's how they operated. And they moved, like I said, from place to place, talking about stuff. And that's how it went for years. And a lot of their discussions, not all, but a lot of them, as they went on and moved, started more and more to center on the situation of um, this the social conditions of the times, and the Roman Empire, how it was bloated, but also how, even though it was bloated, it was getting more and more tyrannical and like a controlling military empire, and it was doing that through military power and uh, tightening economic means. So he was using those two mechanisms simultaneously to control more and more territory and squeeze the people that it ruled over. And every day, month, year that went on, and every place they visited, they just saw it more and more. And the more they saw, the more they kind of talked about it, and especially Jesus would continue to bring this up. Some of them would be like, Jesus, not this discussion again sometimes. But, everyone felt the same way. Even if sometimes, they would say, "Oh, not again." Like, we know how you feel. We feel the same way, but again, and so that went on. Like, time and time again, they see suffering in different ways, for years. So at some point, they got to, I don't know where, but what is it, time? 27 minutes. When they got to, I don't know where. Someone can chime in. Wherever it was, whatever city it was, you will know what city. They got to a city, a big one, and they were miles out. And they saw the typical sight. People on the road into the city, crucified. As the Romans loved doing this common practice that the Romans did. They crucified anyone. Anyone and everyone that the magistrate or local governor, whatever the hell the title was, wanted to. But I mean, a lot of them were political prisoners or terrorists or revolutionaries, debtors, someone that just walked by, maybe brushed the governor, and just like, "You touched me." And he'd just be like, look at the centurion next to him and be like, "Crucify that guy." It could be something petty as hell, and they would just crucify him. Because these guys were getting more and more ruthless, and more entitled, more and more just dicks. Again, this story doesn't have to be completely true. It's just a good story. So they were miles out, and they just saw, like, you could just see an endless. It had to be maybe hundreds. Just boom, 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 boom. Where do they get all this wood in what seemed like a desert? Well, they have an empire. They got supply chains. Where, why? Where, why, how? And, the group hates this, and Jesus is just, Jesus is a man of conscience, man of conscience, man of compassion. Just looking at this, just hating it more and more as he sees one person, another person, just hating it, just feeling shittier and shittier, more and more pissed off, more and more angry, just more and more and more and more and more and more, and finally, in his head, the guy just, it just fucking snaps. Dude, he doesn't say anything to anybody with him, but in his head, in his head, he makes the decision. You know how you do that in your head? You just make a. Sometimes you just make a fucked up decision in your head before you. It's like, all right, that's it. Sometimes you don't even really know, but you made a decision before you did something. Well, this was not before he knew, and he just made the decision. He's gonna do something. He's gonna do something fucked up in the city in front of a lot of people and get their attention. You don't know what it is, but he's gonna do something big, and it's gonna be a spectacle. And he doesn't give a shit anymore. They've just been talking about this and talking about this and talking about this and doing nothing. Nobody's been doing nothing. Anything anybody has done over the past whatever years, nothing has worked. This empire just keeps getting bigger and bigger, destroying more shit, ruining lives. Nothing is stopping them. And now he doesn't care if anything stops him. He's just gonna. He's snapped. Right? He can't take it anymore. So he's gonna do something. And consequences be damned. So they go into the city. Finally, they get through the gates. They're in the city proper. And this is a long trip. They've been walking. They've been, it's the desert, basically. So they gotta do what they gotta do. They gotta water up, food up, get more provisions for their coming trips, everything. They gotta do what they gotta do. So they are doing what they gotta do. And, they don't always stay together as a group, so they're breaking up. And, yeah. 2 here, 2 there, 3 there. And Jesus with, Paul, John, whatever. So there's people over there, doing all their shit in the center, in the big market area. Because there's markets over in separate places, but all of them are doing their thing in the central market, the big market of the city. Usually big ass cities like that have a big market, I think. That's just, it's a story. They have a kind of a central market where most of the most important and best things are kept. So there you go. That's where they are. And Jesus just is like, all right, I'm going to do it right here. So he gets in the center-ish. He finds himself a good spot. And he starts talking, and talking loud, going on a tirade about how this is wrong and, they're taking more than they should take. Everything is, all this stuff is disproportionate. These people have too much money. They're not dividing anything fair. And look at all the poor people every day. It's getting harder to get what people need. Look at the beggars. They were farmers, and now just think of what something like some guy like that the words, the ammunition, the evidence he would be able to provide after walking all that distance, seeing all that stuff. He'd be like, I've seen this guy, and one guy was this, and all that stuff. A farmer told me, and all of these things that he's seen, all these examples, personal examples that he can pull out. And they're all relatable to the people. So people start gathering more and more around him. And as he starts drawing a crowd, people from not in the crowd, not in the market too, we say, what is that? What's happening? So they come and start listening. The crowd gets bigger, and then bigger, and then bigger. And then he sees he's getting a crowd, so he starts talking louder, so more people can hear him. Well, the Roman centurions, the police, now they're seeing a crowd is starting to form. This is never good. In any time, this shit is never good. So now they're getting on the edges. I don't know how many, 3, 6, 9, whatever. And unfortunately for them, the crowd is still getting bigger. Jesus is still talking louder. People are listening. They're not really making a whole lot of noise because they want to hear what the guy's saying. And he's talking that way. And the merchants that are the famous, infamous, whatever, money changers are behind him with their tables that change the money. But he's not speaking to them. He doesn't really care about them. He hasn't even thought about them at this point. He's just trying to speak to the crowd and all that. He wants to get his message out to everybody. And so he's talking more and more to the crowd. And so, yeah. And that's what he's doing. And so, as the crowd finally gets to, a disturbing size, the centurions are finally like, okay, well, we better actually do something. And then they start kind of coming through the crowd, and then Jesus sees that, and it's like, all right, fuck. This is actually not good. Then he kind of is like, oh, right. Now I remember what's behind me. And then he does the money changer thing. And the tables of the money changers, those tables, they weren't like a table like that or like any table like this one. Nowadays, they're not like 20, 50, 70, 100 pounds. Those tables back then were fucking heavy. So they were like 200, 300 pounds or something. They were sturdy. So he's not flipping them over, right? He's taking his arm and just brushing the piles of coins. And, back then, they're actual coins. And there's, I don't know, 20 ish different kinds of currencies because it's the Roman Empire. They're drawing merchants from all over. So that's why there's money changers. They need to change currencies into different kind of currencies from all over. All over, all over. So when he does that, he's mixing currencies together. And currencies from different changers into different changers as piles. And so now, in order to fix this, each one would have to go through their ledgers that they have written down by hand. And keep in mind, they write it down by hand with, like the pen, and I mean, it's not like on a piece of paper like today with a ballpoint pen that everybody knows. You can read another person's handwriting. Nah, no. It's all mixed together. There's different handwritings. Sometimes some people use different languages, So he's done enough damage that this is going to take the rest of the day just to sort it out, maybe even until tomorrow. So he shut this entire thing down for the rest of the day doing this. So trade in this central marketplace is done for at least the rest of the day. So this one dude has just fucked everything up. So now all merchants are fuming. They want this dude gone and gone now. And now because he did that, all the people that have been fucked over, now he's a fucking hero to a lot of people. Even though a lot of them still have to do business, they just do business directly with the guys in the stores. It's the guys in the stores that at some point will have to get their currency into the legal Roman bank currency. So the people that are just buying shit, they're like, yeah, fuck these assholes. They're the ones that are robbing them. They don't give a shit. They're just cheering on. They're like, yeah, well, fuck you assholes. They're bankers, Yeah, fuck you bankers. You're skimming 20-30% off of us. And, yeah, fuck you. You're the reason. Yeah. And but the centurions get them, of course. 2, 3, 6. You know what cops are. Yeah. You got one 120-pound dude. And they don't send 1, 2 cops. They send 12. So, yeah. They get him. They drag him into the Imperial Palace or whatever. And now he's gone, but there's a crowd of 200, 300, 400 people. There's cheering and stuff. And maybe there's not a big disruption, now they're not rioting really, I don't think. But rioting and starting fires and stuff. But there's a big enough crowd with a big enough disturbance that now the centurions from all over the city, they gotta bring in a bunch to kind of be like, all right, everybody, go. Maybe they have to beat a few people and just to start and disperse the crowd, and that itself takes a while, maybe an hour or 2, something like that. So it takes a while to get them to rile down and stuff. And so that happens and everything. And we know basically the rest of the story. the magistrate governor for that whole thing. That brilliant thing. He gets crucified. Or at least if that turns out different, if that's not the thing that gets him crucified, whatever. Uh, that's my story. That's what gets him crucified. If something else happens in the Bible, I don't care. That's what gets him crucified. And so, he's in jail, dungeon, whatever. That's how my story goes. That's what gets him crucified, and so he's walking out, and all the people recognize him now. He's like, that's the guy, that's the fucking hero, that's the legend. And unfortunately, for these centurions and guess who, magistrate, the whatever, now the poors, the downtrodden, the meek, there are a lot of them that aren't even from the city. They may have just been there to do a tiny bit of business, pay some taxes and food or something like that, and then go back to their hometown village. And now, when they go back, they're telling the story, but they're not telling the story like fact by fact, point by point. No, now, see, now Jesus suddenly has I don't know, take your pick. Jesus is fighting them off. There's 15 centurions, and Jesus fought off all of them but two, and they drag him in. There's this big trial, and Jesus stands before all of them, giving all these speeches, and the magistrate drags him in, blah, blah, blah. And Jesus carries the cross, but he carries it with one arm, holds it up straight. And the guy is a titan with all muscles and everything, when really he's just kind of an average dude, And they crucify, and they're making up shit. I mean, you just pick your little thing that they're just making up stuff left and right. And a couple people are like, yeah, and the centurions came up to him, and he just held out his hand and went, bah, and some of them just fly away, They came up to him, and the clouds just turned black, and it was like a storm suddenly appeared. Like God himself was angry that they were messing with his son. It was very strange. Like, other people are like, no, I couldn't have. I swear, I was there. I saw it with my own eyes. And all of a sudden, this legend is becoming more and more legendary. And that tale goes from that town to another town. And it just keeps going further and further. And all of a sudden, next generation, the tale gets greater and greater. Each year, each decade, suddenly there's a religion based on this guy, because people in the smaller towns, hamlets, villages are hating this fucking Roman Empire more and more and more. And especially in those cities that they sack and destroy, the people that come out of them and settle in those small towns, they hear about this dude that defied them. And apparently, he was blessed by the gods or Zeus or something. And not only that, he was the son of the gods, because the people that were around him kept telling everyone, yes, he was born. And he'd tell everyone how he was born of a virgin, and he was the son of God. He's incarnation of God. And then it keeps on growing and everything. Yeah. You can see how this keeps growing and growing outward and outward, and then eventually all these people that are displaced because city after city is razed. Eventually they keep finding each other. Your city was razed too? Your city was razed? You hear about this guy? They connect up and they form armies. And suddenly, Rome has to fight against not just a little bit of a budding religion, but, a religion with a frickin' army. Now that is dangerous, because a religion is bad enough, but a religion with an army are zealots, and they fight to the last man, and they fight hard. They will fight with a dagger and a fork, anything, and you don't even understand how. America knows. Suicide bombers. So, yeah. That is a horrible thing to try and fight against. Your hired army of mercenaries and professional trained soldiers are good and everything, but at the end, a swarm of zealots that every year just gets bigger and bigger. That's a difficult thing to march against, especially when you can't even really tell who they are. So yeah, that's it. That's the story. And now, here is the prologue. What Jesus did in that story. Let's suppose that story, all of the story up until my end, where the governor or whatever crucifies him, is true. Not the part about like people making up crap about him as they go back to their hometown, but just, about what Jesus saw and what he did. That incredibly awesome spectacle. Because he saw some, let me see, this 54 minutes. He saw a huge injustice in the world, getting larger and larger, bigger and bigger, spreading out. This empire screwing over people with its military power, and on top of that, a certain small class of that empire using its riches to squeeze everybody in the empire that it could, and outside of the empire too. Now, is any of that familiar? If it isn't, you aren't paying attention. So, yes. And what Jesus did was excellent. He didn't walk in and just, walk in with a sword and start killing the merchants. No. He got the attention of everybody. Made a great spectacle. Made everyone love him. Made the rich people hate him. And then provoked the power structure to do exactly what they should never have done. You make a martyr out of the guy. Yeah. So every step of the way, everything was executed perfectly. And yeah, it took, I don't know, 2 centuries. But the empire fell and Christianity is here to stay. Now, I don't think that last part was part of the plan, Christianity being a religion, personally. But I don't even think toppling the empire was really his plan in the moment. I think the dude just got really pissed off and just couldn't contain the rage and the seeing all this bullshit going on anymore. And it's, it's just that one man. Dun, 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 blah, 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 blah. You've seen the movie so far. You know where it's going. This movie's been made, but it's just I've been pushed too far, and then you can't take it anymore. But instead of going and killing everybody, does something that actually does make a difference. It's just not in that guy's lifetime. So, yeah. And you know what? They murdered Martin Luther King. And guess what? Badam. Not in his lifetime. But part of the dream came true. You can't murder people like that. It causes exactly what you don't want to happen. But these people end up fucking up time and time again. So oh well. They always make the same mistake. So they're gonna fuck up again. It's V for Vendetta. They always fuck up. It's predictable. They're gonna fuck up again. Keep giving them more money and more power and more anything. Just keep shoving it their way. They're gonna fuck up eventually. So yeah, all these people love Trump. Just keep giving him more power, and keep giving him more love. And it's just he's never gonna deport American citizens. Keep giving him more power. I'm telling you, at some point, this is what he's gonna do. Oh, you don't think the guy is as bad as he is? I know you don't. He's gonna try at some point to openly purge the military of people he doesn't like. Purge the U.S. military of people he thinks, whether it's true or not, he thinks will not go through with orders that not go through with anything he orders. It's like, all right, well, I bomb New York City. Yeah, bomb an American city. I want you to do that. You know, if I give you that order, you're gonna have to do it. Uh, he's gonna try and give purge the American military of people that won't carry out that order. Just wait. So, if you are a general or an admiral or whatever, if you start seeing him openly, like asking for um, the resignation of people that, like, why do you want me to resign? Like, I'm 42, I have 20 years left. I've served through the last 5 presidents, totally fine. All these things. There's no reason why you should ask me to resign. And try to be like do thing after thing where it's like you're trying to fire like 20,000 people, and like a lot of them are black and Mexican, like trying to use this blanket policy where like, okay, Fox is like, only 66% of them are of color or women or gay. It's like, yeah, that's definitely not a purge. It's like, just wait until he does some shit like that. Or getting rid of just people in general that have been there for 20 plus years. No, career guys. Something that is just something that in your gut feels like, what the fuck is going on? Reshaping the military to something that just is like, what the hell are you doing? And on top of that, trying to add like a new branch of the military, like U.S. robotics branch or something like that, run by, I don't know, Musk, like, or Bezos, or which is just highly robotic, like, and doesn't have anyone in the military with direct oversight. I mean, it is just he's gonna do something weird with the military that Fox News is going to be like, don't worry about this. They're going to be heavily propagandizing it big time. Just trust me, Fox is going to be, I mean, trust me. So, yeah. I'm saying it right now on this video before other people are saying it. Before anyone in liberal media or liberal YouTubers are getting ahead of this. I'm saying it right now, and no one's watching my videos. So, whatever. This is why I say I'm pissed off that my sister doesn't listen to me ever. She never pays attention to me. It's like, I'm telling you what's going to happen. I've told you I can see what's going to happen, and you never pay attention to me. My family has never kind of respected me just because, I didn't get A's in high school and I didn't get a degree in college and all this stuff. I'm like, you don't live up to your potential. It's like, yeah, well, society. No one in the world lives up to my potential either, so whatever. Or my expectations or my anything. So, whatever. Anyways. You're like, yeah, well, that's not how it works. And it is how it works. So, anyways, I'm disappointed in the world. Sorry that went off in a totally different direction, but that's how my videos work. So you have to kind of deal if you're gonna watch my stuff, which no one is, but there you are. I hope you liked my little tale. Another thing that if you stayed this long, you need to know, if you are a Christian, what you need to do is take your Christian fable book and nicely put it down, or what you need to do just is take it and throw it away. It's worthless. That's what it is. The book is worthless. Don't bother reading it. Don't bother living by it. You know what you need to do to live a good life. If you're a good person, just say, I'm a Christian, and live a good life. That's all you need to do. You don't need a book. A book will do one thing for you. It will put up walls around your brain, your figurative heart, the people around you that you know, the people that you will meet. All it will do is tell you how to not like people and control your thoughts. That's all it's going to do. When you get rid of it, you will find yourself free. There you go. Just get rid of the book. You don't need it. You don't need it. Jesus didn't need it. None of his followers needed it. They don't need a book. Why have a book when it's so much easier to not have a book? Life, when you're born, you come out of your mother holding a book? No. There you go. Why would you have a book? Why would they give you and your pastor a book? Here's what you need to do. It's all in the pages. Follow the pages. There you go. Yeah. It's a bunch of bullshit. So just throw it away. It goes for any religion. God does not want you to have a book. The people that run the world want you to have a book. Yeah. They want you to have a book so they can control you. And there you go. I don't know. I don't know what else to tell you. 9:35 and this video has gone for an hour and 8 minutes. Wow. If you watch this entire thing, you are a brave soul, I'll tell you that much. If anyone, if one person in the world watches this entire thing, you are a champion. And the string is still, oh wow, now it's flattened. Wow, power. Yeah, I don't really have any more to say. It's been kind of serious, a little heavy, but yeah, whatever. I think I'm gonna go back to my game. try to do that to lighten the load on myself and just blah out. Man, is this my soda here? No, it is. Thankfully, it's not completely diluted by ice that melted, because there was ice in there and it did melt. You know, there are a lot of people, especially people that are comedians that I look up to. Like, I can't remember if Jon Stewart does it, but John Oliver does it a lot of times. He ribs on Mountain Dew, Code Red, Baja Blast. I'm just like, okay, whatever. Yeah, we get it. I'm like, I love Mountain Dew, Code Red and Baja Blast, and Voltage. I don't really like any of the other flavors, but they're awesome. I don't know what you're talking about. They're great. I will stand on the hill of coffee is horrible, though. If coffee is so great, why doesn't everybody in the world drink coffee black? If coffee is so fantastic, everybody should just drink coffee straight. Really black coffee with, like, I don't know, 70% coffee and like just a little bit of water in there, if it's that good. But no, the saying that I hold dear is, I'll have a little bit of coffee with my sugar. That's how most people drink their coffee. So I hold true to, coffee is ass. So, yeah. Tea is all right. I'll drink tea. But yeah, that is my own personal take on coffee. Now, I have heard that that is basically coffee as most of the world drinks it. If you get coffee as it's supposed to be drank, which I think coffee, the way coffee is supposed to be made, is way different from the way coffee everybody drinks it. I think coffee beans are green. And so coffee, you harvest the beans and they roast them and then they transport them all over the world. And you grind them and you pour hot water through them, and then there's coffee. But the way you're actually supposed to drink coffee and make coffee, I think, is you harvest the bean, grind it up, and then you make coffee by pouring really hot water through that. You're not supposed to roast it, I don't think. I think that's the original way you made coffee. You only roast it because big ass money corporations, if you do it the way you're supposed to do it, it'll go nasty before you can get it anywhere. So you have to roast it to preserve it. I think it's just a money-making scheme, basically. But, maybe someone can correct me on that. So I think, basically, if you make it the way it's supposed to be made, it might actually be good. I would like to try it the way I just mentioned. Maybe it's good with the green beans, with the raw, unroasted shit. Because that actually sounds like maybe it is, because when you roast something like that, basically you're burning it. And then, yeah, I could see how tasting burned, blackened burn, and then running water through it Yeah, try burning rice, burning it to hell, and then run water through it and be like, this is great. Really? You want to do that? Yeah, okay. On the other hand, or better example, try taking watermelon, frying it up in a frying pan and burning the hell out of it, and then run water through it. Yeah, that's great. On the other hand, crush up some watermelon, run water through it, and then drink that. I'm betting you know which one's going to taste better. One of them may not taste, one of them may not taste awesome, but there's one that will taste better for damn sure. So, on that, I'm going to leave you with that. And hopefully that's lighter, maybe funny. I don't know. My thumb is hurting a little bit now because of the way I was holding the phone. And then, moves Mickey.